Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
Today we have Jacob Rubenstein from, did I say that right? Rubenstein, yes. Okay. Rubenstein from the San Diego office of Voight, and he has worked in multifamily, but now works in industrial. So, Jacob, it's great to have you. I'd love to hear your story because it starts basically as a student at UCLA.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Bruce. So I started UCLA in 2018 as a psychology major, actually. And then I took a philosophy course, got into philosophy, and around halfway through my sophomore year, had no idea what I was going to do with philosophy. I knew I didn't want to be a lawyer. So I was talking to some of my fraternity brothers, and one of them was in the Bruin Real Estate Association. He took me to a meeting of his with this big, it's a small little firm in downtown Los Angeles. They specialize in multifamily, and I was just intrigued. I love the concept of being a broker. My mother did office leasing in downtown Los Angeles in the 80s, actually. So she always told me that commercial real estate was an interesting field and you're your own boss. And at the end of the day, the kid I was, she always told me that you're going to need to be your own boss. So I should check it out before I decide to do anything else. Um, so then when COVID hit, I had a lot more free time on my hands going to UCLA school, being online. I started working at NAI Capital in the spring of 2020, doing retail leasing actually. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so 3 months into that, although I loved my senior and it was a great office, a great firm, there wasn't necessarily as a formal of a training as I would have liked. So a lot of the ways we get meetings and prospecting is through cold calling. I decided to cold email a couple of the big brokerage firms and big teams out in Los Angeles. Got a couple meetings at Marcus and Millichap, and I found my way into being the number one multifamily team over at Marcus at the time in Los Angeles, just doing underwriting for this guy. So 2 days a week while I was at UCLA, I would go in for 10 hours a day. And, he would get a property and he would be like, okay, figure out how much it's worth, give me all the comps. And, then he would chew me out after I didn't do something right. Or
yeah.
I found a property that was, built in 82 when this property was built in 1942. And of course, there's a heavy learning curve, but it was a great way and a great introduction into multifamily for Los Angeles.
Well, then you decided to move to San Diego, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Bay Area originally, but when I got into UCLA, my parents and family decided to move to San Diego. Upon graduating UCLA, I lived there for a year after graduation. But going to UCLA, you're in Westwood, it's a little beautiful bubble of Los Angeles. And it's, when you graduate, you have to leave that bubble. And I was like, okay, well, Los Angeles is amazing and a great place for a lot of people. I love San Diego. I mean, I'm a big hiker, avid mountain biker, spear fisherman, and as such, being able to be in San Diego so close to everything, it just wasn't a question.
Well, and your office is in La Jolla, you said, right?
Yeah, so it's a beautiful location right near the beach. I mean, La Jolla is incredible.
Yeah.
I go snorkeling off the coast in La Jolla. I'll see sea turtles, dolphins. It's pretty insane. Uh,
Wow.
yeah,
So coming out of Oakland, the Bay Area, are you still an A's fan? That's a question.
of course. A's,
Of
Raiders,
course.
Warriors.
Okay.
Oh, no. I actually went to my temple growing up. Al Davis, the old owner of the Raiders, he used to go to it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so on the
Wow.
holidays we would see him. But no, it's sad that they're all leaving, of course. But any of my friends who were Warriors fans or Giants, or not Warriors, sorry, if any of my friends were 49ers fans or Giants fans, we ostracized them for sure. Because I mean, we're rooting for the San Francisco teams.
Yeah. So are you, I guess you're going to become a Las Vegas A's fan,
Yeah,
maybe?
I have to. I mean, I love the Raiders. I love the A's. I can't not be. So.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. We're kind of very sad up here to see them leave, but what can you do? So anyway, that's all good. So now you're into industrial. So tell us a little bit about, you said you're doing some cold calling and then you're knocking on doors. So how's that going down there?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the big reasons I switched from multifamily to industrial is, well, it's twofold, right? In multifamily, it's only investment sales versus
Mhm.
industrial, you have investment sales, you have owner user sales, as well as you can do leasing. So there's three routes to make money versus one. And then in multifamily, you can only cold call really versus an industrial you can door knock. And I saw a lot of my colleagues just spending 4 hours outside door knocking. And as someone who loves to be outside meeting people, which is why I got into the business in the first place, it was just super enticing. So since I joined into the industrial side, I spend half my day out in the streets, going from industrial building, talking to tenants or owners, seeing if they have any problems or issues, if there's anything I can help with. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the industrial brokers I know up here early on, they said they would have their brokers go out and they'd cold call, I don't remember what the number was, but cold call like 100 people a day and then actually knock on doors like 50 doors a day or something. That was sort of their criteria for getting out there. So anyway, it sounds like you're kind of on that same road.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to. And I think what I like to do is I'll door knock a property and then I'll cold call the owner after if I didn't meet with them specifically. Because being able to have that, awareness and knowledge of the area, what's going on, it's huge. If they have a multi-tenant park, for example, meaning, 10, 20 units in one industrial park, being able to see there's vacancies or talk about people leaving, it gives you a lot of logos, which enables you to talk with them, in a much more deep way than just calling and saying, hey, are you trying to sell your building? So it works a lot better.
So tell us a little bit about the industrial market in San Diego. Is it all big boxes or a lot of smaller users there?
Yeah, so it depends on the area, right? So if you go close to the Mexican border in areas called like Otay Mesa, for example, huge warehouses, 50 to 150,000 square feet. If you go up to County, which is where I specialize, it's a lot more smaller individual freestanding warehouses that range from, I'd say the average size is around 5 to 20,000 square feet. Um,
Wow.
yeah. And then there's fewer multi-tenant parks there as well. If you go to the central San Diego market, it's a lot of bigger multi-tenant parks where they're averaging around 5,000 square feet per unit.
So you're kind of in the flex market, flex space market, so to speak.
So flex to us, at least what we consider, that means predominantly office, right? So it's more of an office build out. So maybe 30 to 40% office, then, 70 to 60% warehouse. So I will do flex buildings. But any warehouse can technically turn into a flex building. I don't necessarily specialize in flex, but it's still considered a warehouse. So yeah.
Did San Diego get into the industrial condo market at all?
Yeah, so I'm working on a condo deal right now, actually, because these people who want small little units, a lot of those are going to be in condo parks, right? Where someone maybe developed a massive park, then they condo map the whole thing. So instead of leasing it, they can just sell it off.
So it's still going on down there because they kind of gave up the industrial condo market up here, but it sounds like it's still working down there.
Well, it's funny because I mean, there's this one industrial condo park on Rancheros Drive, which is in San Marcos, which is eastern San Diego, North County, technically is what they consider it.
Yeah.
And they've been having a hard time selling those units. I mean,
Oh,
there's
interesting.
4 units on the market right now, and it's a bigger complex for sure, but they've been sitting for around 200 plus days, most of these units.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So a lot of those used to sell for SBA loans, but apparently there's just not enough market down there or something.
I mean, I think the market's slowed down a little bit this year. I think people like were worried and they wanted to see what was going to happen with the economy. A lot of the people I've talked to, I mean, especially before the election, they were saying they were going to wait till the election, and obviously that's just them kicking the can down the road. It's just another excuse saying, "I don't care, I don't want to talk to you."
Right. Yeah.
But I still think it had some actuality in the statement because, yeah, like they don't know what's going to happen. And obviously, my follow-up question is always, well, what do you think is going to happen if, whoever wins, wins? Do you really think it's going to change that much? And the answer is obviously nothing's going to change immediately. But hopefully, we'll see a lot more activity in 2025. Obviously, the Fed's lowered the rates a couple times.
Yeah.
Confusingly, I don't know why, but as you brought up, the owner user loans, right? By the
Yeah. Right.
their rates actually went up recently, which made no sense. The Fed lowered it and then they just went up. So
Yeah.
that's always fun. I love talking to people about that, but well, we still get deals done, and that's what matters.
Right. Right. So it's all kind of coming together. So you haven't seen any real movement yet since the election. I mean, it's still pretty early.
Still super early. And I mean, obviously, political opinions aside, you know, our new president, he says a lot and he says he's going to do a lot. The one thing that he could potentially do that would help us is if he extends the 2017 tax cuts, which enabled you to increase the rate of depreciation on a property, right? So right now we're at 40%. Next year we'll go down to 25%. If he brings those back to 100%, I mean, that's great. And that would be really helpful for the market because not as many people know about that, but being able to talk to clients about that. And at the end of the day, if you save client a couple $100,000, that's a client for life. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that'd be fantastic. So explain that a little bit further for those in the audience that may not understand that completely.
yeah, so it depends on the asset class, of course, right? But it's basically something called a cost segregation study. One of the reasons a lot of people buy real estate, besides appreciation, meaning the value of the property is going to go up, is the depreciation, right? As these properties get devalued, worn out, for example, roofs have around a lifespan of 20 to 30 years. And normally you'll have to write this off every year in increments. But with
Mhm.
this accelerated depreciation, he enables you to write up to 100%. I mean, now it's only 40%. But when he first started in 2017, you could write up to 100% of the depreciation the first year. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
wow. So that made a big difference, a big nut taken off your tax return.
yeah. I mean, the funny part is, I remember when I was doing multifamily, there was this woman I was in discussion with, and she bought three properties in 2022, all small little duplexes in Oceanside. But she did it because of this cost segregation study, and she was able to write off 60% of it. But she was talking about how no one called her about this, no one talked about it. And I mean, I think that shows you how there is a lack of information and how important it is to work with a broker who knows what they're doing and is able to show you, how can you save money? What's the right move? And what should we do with this? Should we sell? Should we keep it and whatnot?
So are you doing any 1031 exchanges?
We just did a 1031 exchange. I exchanged a client of mine out of a 10 unit in Normal Heights into basically what you consider a syndication fund, a local syndication here in San Diego. We've worked with him a lot, and this client of ours is a longtime participant of the syndication. So he was able to just sell it off and put all the funds into that. Hopefully, we're working on underwriting the deal right now. It's about a 7,000 square foot warehouse in San Marcos. Obviously, with the holidays coming up, we told her that if we are going to put it on the market, we'll do it in the new year, just because putting it on right now and Christmas and people are about to take off for the holidays, it's not the best time. But hopefully, it sounds like she's going to want to exchange, and we'll probably throw her into just a quick service restaurant somewhere, either in California or outside the state, with a single tenant, triple net lease, meaning the tenant pays for all the expenses, taxes, and repairs on the building, which will be really nice for her because she's older. Her business currently is rented out to her brother. The brother's not making much money anymore, so they're just losing money on the property. So it's moments like this where I love my job because I'm truly helping someone versus just working with investors. And that's the other benefit to industrial, where it's investors and owner users.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's really the value of the broker is to kind of show people exactly what they can do with their money, hopefully improve their returns and come around and do things for them that they are just not aware of, which is great. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So are you working on a team at Voight? How does that go together?
Yeah, I'm lucky, I think. I'm a gregarious person, I would consider myself. So I have a partner who I work with on industrial. When I switched to industrial, I went up to one of the other brokers who's been doing it a long time. And I'm like, we've sort of joked around about it before. He's like, well, if you don't like multifamily, come work with me. And so I'm working with him now, and he's a great guy, and we're buddies. And I mean, working with a friend, it makes the world of a difference. When we're door knocking together, we're just cracking jokes, having fun with it. And I think that makes everything better. And, it makes your door knocking more successful, of course, because you're having a good time and that resonates with the people who you're talking with. But then I'm also, because I've done multifamily, there's a there's someone who I work with at the office who owns a couple multifamily properties with one of his clients, and he doesn't know how to underwrite multifamily deals as well. So he's like, Jacob, let me see some of your underwriting. So I underwrote these properties for him, and now we're going to sell two of his apartment buildings in Pacific Beach, each one being valued at roughly around $5 million.
No, that's
So
fantastic.
yeah, it's fantastic. Unfortunately, they're not going to exchange. His partner, who is the majority stakeholder in the properties, he's a very wealthy guy, and he's taking all of his money out of Merrill Lynch, so he's not going to exchange it. He's just cashing out. But I mean, either way, a sell of $10 million in total. That's a great payday. So, and once again, he's a friend, and I love working with him. So it's a pleasure, really.
Well, you got to pay the taxes sometime anyway, so
Yeah, it's
you
either
know.
death or you pay at the end of the day, you know. In
Right, right.
California, we're a community property state, thankfully. It's one of the few tax benefits we get here, obviously. And for those of you guys who don't know what that means, it means that, when a spouse and a husband are married for a long time, if the husband dies, the step up in basis, which would normally happen, goes to the day of the death. And because of that, if the wife were to sell the property that day, she wouldn't have to pay the capital gains. If they bought it for $1 million in 2010, now it's worth $2 million. Instead of paying $1 million or the capital gains on $1 million, she can sell it for $2 million and not have to pay any of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the two constants, right? Death and taxes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and as many people have said, be sure not to, go into probate because that could really screw your situation up. So get a will or a trust or something going.
No, it's you have to. And I have some great trust attorneys, and if anyone needs one of those as well, we work closely with a few. And I mean, it's super important. I mean, kids fight over this stuff all the time, and it's super sad. This is a pretty crazy story. I cold called this woman, very nice woman. We talked for about 30 minutes from everything from real estate to I'm reading this book right now. It's called Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky.
Oh yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So
Yeah.
we're talking about everything from real estate to that, the communist revolution and everything in Russia. And she's like, she actually inherited this property. There were four sisters. They all inherited it. One of the sisters was embezzling from the
Oh no.
property. Crazy story. Then the fourth sister died before the mom, and it was in a trust set up in such a way where they weren't allowed to sell the property until the mother passed away because the money was supposed to go to the mom. And now that the mother's passed in 2012, two of the sisters live here. The other one lives in North Carolina. The two sisters here don't want to sell. And from the third sister who I've been speaking with, she makes it seem like one of them wants to sell. She gives me both their phone numbers. I call both of them. They both tell me to go to hell. Pardon my French. And I was so excited. It's a beautiful property. It's a multi-tenant park around 10,000 square feet. She's saying how she hasn't been paid a dime in years, which is technically a bit illegal considering like they should all be getting
Yeah.
a dividend. It's just a crazy situations like that. And I mean, the highs and lows of commercial real estate. That's all I can really say.
Oh yeah, no, any of these family situations are always can be very dicey. So, yeah, I personally have specialized in complex family transactions, which get can get very complicated and dicey at times, and a lot of arguing. But anyway, well, so tell us, you graduated in philosophy.
Yeah.
And you have a quote from your favorite philosopher. We'll kind of end with that if you like.
Yeah, of course. He's not my favorite philosopher, but I like it a lot. I think Stoicism is my favorite part of philosophy. It's just the term Stoic, I think gets translated differently, and not everyone understands the concept, but it really just means to roll with the punches, basically. So he has a great quote though that goes, "It is not that we have a short space of time, but that we waste much of it. Life is long enough and has been given in sufficiently generous measures to allow the accomplishments of very great things, if the whole of it is well invested." And I love that because people say we waste so much time and that life is so short, but it's not the case. Life is very long. It's just about what we do with it. You're going to spend the day watching TV and on social media, or are you going to go for that hike? Are you going to be with your family? And I think that's what life's all about, really.
Well, I think we have invested a good bit of time today, and I certainly appreciate all your time, Jacob. So I look forward to working with you in the future.
Of course. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, Bruce.
We will talk soon.
Amazing. All right. Have a good one.
You also.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.